Children, let us start chapter 8, the cell as a basic unit of life of unit 3rd. So we are starting the new unit of cell, and its first chapter, or otherwise 8th chapter, is cell as a basic unit of life. So in this we are going to discuss the discovery of cell, then cell theory, cell number, size, shape, different types of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic, then organelles present in the cell. Cell, that is the smallest unit of living matter. It is the structural and fundamental unit of life. It's called structural unit. The structure of organism is made up of cells. It's called functional unit. The function of the organism is due to the function of the cells. Some organisms like bacteria, protozoans, some algae, they are made up of only one cell. They are unicellular organism. Whereas most of the organism, fungi, plants, animals, they are multicellular. They are made up of many cells. Cells, they vary in size, structure, and they are specialized to perform different functions. But basic components, they are similar in all the cells. Discovery of the cell, Robert Hooke first time observed cell when he was examining a thin slice of cork under his primitive compound microscope. He found honeycomb-like structures and named these structures as the cells. So this is a Robert Hooke. तो ये उसका primitive microscope था, and he observed thin slice of cork showing this honeycomb-like structure. Later on, in 1672, Leeuwenhoek first time observed living cells. He observes bacteria, sperms, red blood corpuscles, all of these were cells. So live cells first time देखे थे Leeuwenhoek ने. Robert Brown then observed nucleus in the cell. So cell, that is a structural and functional unit of life, and cell, it contains many micro, macro, organic and inorganic molecules, different organelles present in it. In the they are suspended in colloidal or watery matrix. Then molecules, they are busy in reactions with release or uptake of energy. Protoplasm of the cell, that is limited by the membrane. So outside there is a cell membrane. So all cells, they include three main components. One is the cell membrane, outer membrane. Then the matrix is known as cytoplasm. And then genetic material, DNA, that is naked in the prokaryotes, but it is covered or it enclosed in the nucleus in the eukaryotes. Mature plant cells, they have large vacuole and some non-living inclusion, crystal pigments, etc. The prokaryotes, they neither have organelles nor well-defined nucleus. So now let us come to the cell theory. Schleiden and Swan, they proposed cell theory in their paper Microscopic Investigation on the Similarity of Structure and Growth in Animals and Plants. So Schleiden, he was a German botanist, and Swan, he was a zoologist, British zoologist. So both did their research work independently. So Swan, he worked on so many animal tissues, and Schleiden, he worked on the different kinds of plant tissues. Then they proposed cell theory. The main postulates of the cell theory are All organisms are composed of one or more type of cells. Cells are basic living units within the organism, and the chemical reactions of life takes place within the cell. Or we can simply say that all living organisms are composed of cells and products of cells. This is the main postulate. Later on, this theory was modified by Rudolf Virchow. He reasoned that all cells they come from pre-existing cells by cell division. So he modified this cell theory. So today the modern cell theory that consists of these postulates that all living things or organisms they are composed of cells and products of cells. Secondly, all cells they arise from the pre-existing cells. So modern cell theory, it has these features: structural and functional. Unit is the cell of living organism. Cells arise from pre-existing cells through division. So new cells, they contain the same amount and degree of genetic information as contained in the parent cells. So cells, they also contain hereditary information which is passed from one cell to the next cell. So all cells are basically same in chemical composition in organisms of similar species. So modern cell theory के features हमने किए that all organisms they are made up of one cell, but some are unicellular, some are multicellular, and activity of an organism depends upon the total activity of independent cells. So, depending upon the requirement, functional requirement, cells get modified. जैसे हम देखते हैं, muscle cells they are very long, nerve cells they are also long thread-like. Then RBCs they have lost nucleus and other organelles. So like this there are different modifications as per their function. If we consider the number of the cells, that varies. जैसे हमने देखा, some organisms they are made up of one cell only, but many plants, animals, as most of these are multicellular. Even the human body, it is built of about 1 trillion cells. So unicellular organism, the single cell is capable of doing all the functions. It can perform respiration, digestion, nutrition, all the function, excretion, they are performed by the single cell. But in the multicellular organism, the cells are specialized for performing different functions. Cells, they are grouped into tissues and organs, organ system, and then organism. So see, these are the different shapes of the cell. This rod-shaped E. coli bacteria, paramecium, shoe-shaped, क्योंकि जो cells हैं unicellular organism का जो structure है that is also the single cell. Then this is Spirogera, it is multicellular. तो ये बहुत सारे cells हैं, ये एक cell है. Then another common Volvex, that is a colonial form, Nostoc, Anabina, Cara. So these are the different shapes of the cell. तो अगर हम animal cells की भी बात करते हैं, muscle cell that is very long and nerve cells that is also very long. So different categories, shapes. Size varies from 0.2 micrometer to 20 micrometer. Smallest cell is PPLO, pleuropneumonia-like organisms. Example is Mycoplasma. So this is the smallest cell. Bacteria, that is unicellular, but it is smaller than the animal cell, 10 times smaller. E. coli, that is a rod-shaped bacteria. And then protozoan, amoeba. तो ये सारे सिंगल सेलुलर स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं, एक ही सेल का एक ही ऑर्गेनिज्म. Then generally plant cells are larger than the animal cells. लेकिन एक एग्जाम्पल ostrich egg cell, that is the largest cell. So this is our largest cell, and generally the range of the animal cell is 10 micrometer to 30 micrometer, or plant cell is 9 micrometer to 100 micrometer. And then volume of a cell is also constant for a particular cell type, and it is independent of the size of the organism. So we see plant cell, animal cell, bacteria. So here you see that plant cells are larger than the animal cells they are larger than the bacteria. So next time we will discuss the types of cells, prokaryote and eukaryote.